This is the last video for practice test form F for graphing trig functions. With this picture, you have a graph. This is in color. I do apologize that yours are in black and white. What you need to do is you need to show all your work in order to receive credit. Now, you get to pick whatever you want to do. So point-wise, I'm going to just go mark some points with black dots. When you find these solutions and values, what you are doing is you are trying to let a person know where your graph is and then how it is graphed. So whatever point you start at, it wouldn't matter. But what does your graph do and what does it look like? So on this graph, you have these many points, okay? So this would be point A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and H. So just a few. With this, you can graph multiple types of graphs and everything. If you want to do sine, you want to do cosine, positive, negative, doesn't matter. So each graph is going to get each start point will get its own graph. So I'm going to write these over here. You do not need to do every single one, but I am going to talk through them after I get the information. So that's why there are so many answers. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the highest point. So my highest point is this far up, which is the top of my graph, which is 3. And if I go all the way down here to the very bottom, this is my bottom, and it's at -5. The distance that you travel from here would be a certain value. If you want to find the average of it, you would find the midline. So you could do a few things. You could count. You could do a lot of different stuff. I would like to do just top plus bottom divided by 2. So that would be 3 plus -5 divided by 2 equals -2 divided by 2. So midline's at -1. So at this value right here, this is my midline. And it's at -1. If I count up, I would add 4. If I count down, I would subtract 4, which means my amplitude is at 4. So now the basis of my question I have is, do I have enough information? I have my amplitude, which is my first number. I have my last number, which is -1. It's my vertical shift. Now I just need to figure out the period, okay? To figure out the period, what I'm going to do is I'm going to find a start to an end. So I'm going to look at C to G. So there's a few ways you can do this. The first thing I want to look at is from 0 to pi. This is 4 blocks. So if I have 4 blocks, equals pi, I can figure out what distances I have for other things. Okay, and I'm going to erase this part out here. You can count that out. You don't have to actually draw it, but that's what I was doing. So if I count the distance from C to G, so if I take my laser and I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, I can now go down here and say point C to G is 8 blocks. So I had to take 4 times 2 to get 8, which means I have to take pi times 2, so my period is 2 pi. Since my period is 2 pi, that means my b value is equal to 1, since it didn't change, and so I have the values I want. So with those, these are constant values that do not change as we do the problem. So my amplitude is 4, my midline is -1, and my b value being 1 does not change. So what I have every single question without fail is I have amplitude of 4, I have no b value to change, I have theta or x, I have some movement left and right minus 1. So 4x parenthesis minus 1. And what I'm going to do is copy those so I don't have to write them every single time. Might have to move them a little bit to make them fit, but that's okay. So just bear with me here for just a second. Okay. So now what I have to do is I have to look at each point. So if I'm looking at A, point A is right here. And I see it's at the bottom, which means it's a minus because it's cosine at the bottom. Okay. So that means A value would be minus. So I'd have a minus 4 here, and I would have a cosine. What I have to do is I do have to figure out how far it traveled. So if every 4 blocks is pi, that means each block is pi over 2. Excuse me, pi over 4. So if this block is pi over 4, this block would be 3 pi over 4, 5 pi over 4, and 7 pi over 4. Remember, 2 pi could be literally right here, and 2 pi can be right here, so don't assume. So those are negatives, and then the other side would be to the right, the same numbers, but when it's subtraction. So if I pick A value, I went to the left, so I would plus, and then go 7 pi over 4. Okay? If I pick B, B is sine, so sine starts here, and I went up, so that means sine is positive, and I'm at 5 pi over 4. So sine, and then x plus 5 pi over 4. C is at the very top, so it's cosine, and then that is at 3 pi over 4, so I'm going to go plus 3 pi over 4. D is in the middle, so it's sine, but it's going down, so I need to do a negative, and then it is at plus pi over 4 because it is to the left. And then honestly, these things repeat, so I will have a negative cosine, I will have a sine at F, I will have a cosine at G, and then I have a negative sine at H. And then it's based on your shift. So E is 1 to the right, so it's minus pi over 4. Sine is going to be 3 over, so it's minus pi over 4. Sorry, minus 3 pi over 4. The cosine for point G is at minus 5 pi over 4. And the last one is at negative 7 pi over 4. Any one of those is a true answer. Works. Like, I don't need to see all the dots around everything, but I do need to see the work that you do. Once again, only have to do one graph. Pick whatever makes you happiest.